Good, good. Okay, can we all rise for the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the October meeting of the Philipstown Town Board. Okay. Monthly meeting approval minutes. Monthly meeting September 7th, 2023. Second. All in favor. Public hearing September 7th, 2023. Second. All in favor. Aye, vote aye. Workshop meeting of September 13th, 2023. Second. All in favor. And I vote aye. Committee reports. Conservation Board.
Conservation Board met on September 12th, 321 Albany Road, seeking a permit for wetland habitat maintenance, including the use of herbicides for non-native invasive species near our water source. A few neighbors came forward to ask questions about the pesticides being used, and some of their safety concerns were addressed by the person who's applying the pesticides. Conservation Board set a site visit. 498 Sprout Road. Applicant is seeking a permit to construct a driveway and single-family home. The resident has been issued a stop work order because of bringing in fill without a permit. Neighbor now has problems with a flooded septic field. The Conservation Board has scheduled a site visit. The next Conservation Board meeting will be next Tuesday, October 10th at 7:30 p.m. here.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Recreation.
Good evening. The Philipstown Recreation Department report submitted by City Hall reports that fall programming is currently underway, including the Learning Center preschool and before and after school programs. Almost everything is at full capacity, and the Rec Center has added some new adult programming into the mix. They're also in the process of organizing upcoming events for children, including Trunk or Treat on October 27th. The winter youth production of Elf in December. The Rec Center also held the first teen night of the year last weekend. It was completely sold out and was extremely successful. For our seniors, we have upcoming day trips for Oktoberfest at AquaTurf next week and a winter holiday fest at Huntington Hills at the end of November. Our next senior luncheon will be held on Wednesday, November 15th. Both Glassberry and Town Parks are running smoothly. Philipstown Park programming is quite busy this time of year with our own rec soccer and football programs running along with the Philipstown soccer clubs. Several teams practicing and playing throughout the week. This will continue throughout November when the season ends and the park closes. Several members of the Recreation Commission, along with the building and field staff, met with Erickson and the Town Highway this week to discuss the next steps to dig a trench for a water line to the pavilion. That remains a key priority for the Recreation Commission, who continue to push forward with finishing the pavilion. More updates on this project will be forthcoming. And one additional note, the annual Castle River Half Marathon, 5K and Kids Race will be held on Sunday, October 22nd, hosted by the Friends of Philipstown at the Rec Center. To sign up, please visit www.castleriver.com. It's a wonderful event, and I encourage everyone to volunteer to help out. The next Recreation Commission meeting is scheduled Tuesday, October 24th at 7:30 p.m. at the Rec Center.
Let me explain what trunk or treat is. It sounds a little sketchy.
No.
We account for every kid it's over. No trunks. Yeah. And they're probably in your trunk. Okay, thank you, Appreciate it. Thank you to the Rec Commission. Philipstown Hub.
Christopher Owens reports, he's the new executive director of Philipstown Hub, and he's reporting regarding the care coordination and advocacy. The Hub care coordinators engaged 146 touch points during the month of September. There have been 760 touch points since the start of fiscal year on July 1st, an average of 12 per workday. That's a lot of touch points. The Board of Directors had a workshop on Sunday, October 1st. Followed by a board meeting. At the board meeting, social worker and Hub co-founder Rabecca Ramirez was confirmed as the new board chair. And emergency room physician Dr. Eric Cupper was elected to the position of vice chair. Regular board meetings will resume on Wednesday, October 11th. Significantly, the board voted to approve the proposed lease for new space on Route 9 and authorize the chair to sign that lease. The Hub will expand its overall accessibility along with potential to bring additional support groups and services to the Philipstown area. You may remember that space was provided as a community benefit. So that's really great that they're moving in there. Chris also reports that the Hub is optimistic about the potential for new and impactful partnerships with local industry leaders and a new partnership as part of its recent grant submission to Putnam County is with Cove Care, and it's a partnership that includes the Hub in a peer-to-peer program. And I know Dave Marzola briefed me on that the Hub has met with Cove Care, and this is a wonderful partnership. The Hub continues its close partnership with Haldane, most recently at the request of the high school principal, Julia Sniffen. The Hub facilitated and brought a best practices mental health program and curriculum from the JCK Foundation to Haldane High School. Included was a workshop for students, 3-day classroom teaching for the 9th and 10th grades, a parent workshop, and a faculty workshop. Special thanks to Haldane PTA for supporting the work of the Hub in this effort. The Hub would also like to thank New York State Senator Rob Rollison and his predecessor in this area, Senator James Scofis, for providing a $15,000 state-funded grant to the Hub focused on programming. And as we approach the end of 2023, we thank everyone for their ongoing support of the Hub and encourage anyone else who would like to support the Hub to do so, and that is all that Chris had to say. But yes.
Well, just out of note about the way the process worked, if you recall, Hudson Reserve was in here, proposed leasing 20-year lease for free to a non-profit, or the town of Philipstown as a part of their proposal to the town for the application for Hudson Reserve. My thought at that point was to utilize this for the Hub, and we met several times, and the Hub agreed to take it. So they're going to be rent-free for 20 years in that building, which is substantial. I think it's a 1,500 square foot location that will enable them to bring Cove Care in as well. So not only will they be doing strictly referencing and direction, but they hope to do actual care and treatment on site with the assistance of Cove Care or another provider. So I think it's a wonderful offer by the owners of Hudson Reserve. I believe the lease is complete, and hopefully by the turn of the year will be filled. I don't know what the plans are to continue to keep the space in Cold Spring, but I think that's still a possibility. I won't speak on behalf, but I am thankful to Ulysses at Hudson Reserve for the offer, the generous offer to house a non-profit, and it's being utilized by them. So I'm really pleased that that worked out. So thank you. Planning board.
Met on September 21st. Had a full agenda as we always have last several months. Correspondence, escrow return for Bach at 475 Fishkill Road. That was approved. I think we have our agenda tonight as well. Under old business, Charlie Pohemus in the process, went through the process of the board to build a house. Down in one of his pieces of property on Mail Station Road. He was in the planning board about 3 or 4 months now. That was approved as well. Kalowski and Wiffle at 168 East
South Mass, they were planning board for quite some time, but they had some issues with putting some buildings and wetlands and so forth like that. And this is the process that works. They go to the planning board says, we really don't want you to do this and that, and they rearranged everything, took the planning board's advice, and now finally they got their approvals. So now they'll be going to see Greg, probably get some building permits to get started on those additions. 3,000 square foot addition altogether, so it's not small, it's a good size as well. Hudson Reserve, we just mentioned, they approved the preliminary subdivision by a 4-2 vote. Last month's meeting. Also, the town of Philipstown, most likely we're going to be taking the conservation easement as well. So just want to make people aware of that. We got a lot of people, a lot of encouragement from the people in our community that we should be the holder of that easement. So we're in the process of going through that right now. Garrison Golf Course and Hudson, the Shakespeare Festival, they've been in the board now almost a year and a half, 2 years already. The board did not approve the final EFS, the final environmental impact statement. Two major concerns that the board still sees there, and they are noise and water. The applicant will address these concerns under next detailed application, which should be submitted any now. Under new business, RKP Materials LLC, 39 Horseman Trails Road in Cold Spring. This is considered a major project. The site plan has already been approved. They're going to construct a 50 by 70 garage for an overnight parking of 6 tri-axle dump trucks. Expected action, the planning board declared it a major project, unlisted seeker action, and they did not schedule a site visit as a particular time because they needed additional information, and that will be coming for next meeting, which is October 19th. The meeting is adjourned at 9:15.
What was the size of that?
50 by 70. That's Charlie the Heen's property at the end before the Fishkill Road, before you get on 9.
Thank you. Zoning.
Here, zoning board was a little bit busier in October. They met on October 2nd. 55 Hiram Road in Garrison. It was a public hearing, and applicants were seeking a variance for a one-story garage addition. Also on 9 Albany Post Road, the applicant was seeking a variance for a side yard setback for a hot tub installation. Also a public hearing that took place. And on 64 Lake Surprise Road in Cold the applicant is seeking a variance for a renovation of a 2,100 square foot building to create a 2,250 foot accessory apartment. So that too was also a public hearing, and there was no old business, and their next meeting is on November 6th at 7:30.
Highway submitted by Adam Telling, work for Highway Department for the month of September. September was another very busy month, diligently repairing roads damaged by July storms due to high volume of needed cleaning out basins, waterways. The Vector truck has been rented for a second month now. It's out almost every single day in use. We met with the person for FEMA to recover for a scoping meeting. It was a productive meeting. We organized our damage inventory into our project so we can move forward. The curb work is in full swing. We're tackling all the curbing as one on the checklist that we have. For the month of September, the Highway Department received 51 phone calls and spent $8,088 on highway vehicle maintenance. Submitted by Adam Telling.
Thank you, Bob. I would also like to thank Maureen, our clerk at Highway 4, representing us with FEMA. The other townships and villages are hiring a consultant, but Maureen is so versed in this because of the amount of repairs that we've done in prior storms that she was able to get us into our portal, get us through the process, and hopefully we'll recoup some of the funds from the July 8th storm. So thank you to Maureen. Building and land, Bobby, I don't think you have any.
We're still working on the Garrison project, water. We can think,
in the highway garage today, I got a call from Tom Chesser, our construction manager. Every contract is complete, excluding some minor electrical issues which still have to be worked out for the building. So we will be giving out the final payments to all of the subcontractors, excluding the electrician and the general contractor, because there's still some items on the outside of the building that need to be touched up. So that's the update with that. We are in a position now to get our certificate of occupancy, which will allow us to get our grant from USDA for the building, which is $1.78 million. So once we have that CO, we can then finalize the grant process, which started from scratch again, and we will be able to recoup those funds towards the building to reduce the debt. So, thank you. Cemetery.
Curiosity, how long do you think that's gonna take to go through
No
that
idea.
process?
No idea. It's a federal process. I can't imagine it'll be quick. Cemetery committee.
Nothing really to update, just spoke with the landscaping, and they're just going to be keeping up with keeping the cemeteries clean and up to date, and before any of the weather changes.
Before it starts snow.
Yeah, well, John, bite your tongue. We have nice weather today.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to get into the agenda, but if nobody minds, I would like to switch item number 6, which is the appointment of Timothy Moranti, up to item 1, because I know there's some old timers on the rec commission that need to get home and go to bed. I'm hearing some snoring coming from the back row already, so I think we need to address it. So Tara, would you mind if we change that on the agenda? Okay.
Go for it. So first on the agenda is a resolution appointing Timothy Moranti, Building and Grounds Maintenance Supervisor.
Okay, so we hired Tim, how long ago now, Tim? It was a while. 2019. Right. As the interim supervisor of buildings and grounds. So until the next test was made available, which Tim took, scored first on the test. So I'm pleased that you are now our official buildings and grounds supervisor. And you have a wonderful assistant. You have a wonderful assistant down there in Walter, and that place is spick and span and in wonderful condition down there, so I appreciate it. And I hope you stay around for a while. Thank you. And there's always a smile, look at that, and the attitude's good, and I'm sure he does whatever you ask, Cecily. Yeah. Okay. So can I get a motion to resolve that the town board of the town of Philipstown hereby appoints Timothy Moranti, Building and Grounds Maintenance Supervisor, effective immediately at the salary not to exceed that set forth in the 2023 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye, and I vote aye. Thank you, Tim, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, you two old guys.
Thanks, Cecily.
Thank you. You can stay, Seth. Seth, you can stay. No. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we going now from the top? or-
From the top.
Okay.
Take it from the top, Tara.
So, next on the agenda is a stormwater management update from NRO Max Garfinkle, but unfortunately, he's feeling under the weather, so he wasn't able to make it.
So Max is still under the weather, unfortunately, so he will be here in November. I can pretty much guarantee that. So we look forward to getting a report from Max in reference to stormwater. So we'll table that until November.
Next is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Van Tassel to sign a letter of support in regard to the State and Local Clean Energy Partnership Act, S 6899 and A 7371.
Jason, would you or Martha like to comment on this, or both of you?
Yeah, I would just quickly say that it's really the main point of it is all of the 10 states that have CCAs in America all authorize it through legislation, which put in a program. New York State is the only one that did it through the Public Service Commission, so it makes it unreliable, less sure, which hurts the CCA, so they're just trying to put it into legislation.
Well, then we have to. We have no choice. So can I get a motion that, to authorize me to sign the letter in support in regards to the State and Local Energy Act S 6899 and A 7371?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. Thank you. Tara, is that ready for me to sign?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Next up,
Next is a resolution authorizing the preparation of a report on municipal solar and storage opportunities by Joule Assets, and this is a roll call vote.
okay, so we did have a workshop, and Joule was here to make this presentation, and it's quite a lot of service that they're offering at no cost and no obligation. Steve, did you get a chance to see this?
Yeah, I drafted the resolution.
What's that?
I drafted the resolution.
Okay, so you did look at the whole thing. Okay, perfect, thank you. Well, then you must have looked at it. Okay, and you're comfortable with this whole process? No cost, that's the key, okay. So, Martha, would you like to add anything, or?
No, I just think it's a win-win.
Right, it's a lot of research and a lot of work for no cost and no obligation, so. Well, can I get a motion to approve the resolution or the contract with Joule for this process?
So moved.
Second,
Second?
Councilwoman Cotter,
No.
Councilman Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Angel,
Aye.
Councilwoman Farrell,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Thank you.
Next is a discussion with Climate Smart Coordinator Martha Upton regarding the NYSERDA EV Charger Grant.
Hello, from a different angle. So you remember that we can no longer put the chargers at the Mayor's Park location as we had initially planned because of all the damage that's been done by the water there and the broken culvert pipe and blah, blah. So we need to come up with a different location. And I've been in many conversations with Trustee Laura Bosey, and we feel that the best thing to do is to kind of not try to have a site agreement again, have Cold Spring do its own chargers, and have Philipstown find our own site and, you know, just supervise our own chargers and get all the benefits from them.
So the grant money will no longer be a joint operation, it will be strictly for EV chargers for the town of Philipstown?
Exactly.
Does the Climate Smart community have a proposed location? Or are you
We
looking?
could only come up with one idea, and that was the rec center.
Right.
But we wanted to find out if any of you have another idea.
Well, I don't know, it's kind of remote.
It is remote, but it's a large piece of property with, you know, there is available parking, there's everything that's needed to provide that. So I can't think of another town piece of property that would be suitable with space. I mean, you would have to, unfortunately, the rec commission, some members just left. I mean, it would have to go before the rec commission because they're, you know, basically would pick a location and site, and that would be my suggestion.
Change these ones out, the ones that for.
Well, we are, we still are changing these to the
We're
other.
still
Okay,
changing
okay,
what's
all right.
involved.
Right.
About, and this is just a shot in the dark, the Philipstown Park, there's, I mean, that is popping, that is.
But
that
that's
is-
under lock and key most of the time.
Oh, okay,
That's
well then,
closed.
yeah.
It's
the gate.
it's gated.
I'm just trying to think of like the
A lot of people do these things overnight. Unfortunately, you're not gonna park at the rec center and walk somewhere, that's for sure. But you could go there to go see your kid play soccer, charge your car. I mean, that is, or, you know,
Well, maybe I'm missing the point. I think the point of having these EV chargers, I mean, if I have a car, you have your own charger at home, right?
Yes.
you do.
You do. So the point of these chargers, in my mind, maybe I'm wrong, is for people who visiting the community, they're here for the weekend or something, need to charge their car to come visit the Village of Cold Spring or visit someplace, they have a place to charge their car. That's my perspective on this.
Yeah.
Putting it down in rec center, to me, I don't think there's much value there. Myself, that's just my own opinion.
Would it be possible, I know Desmond Fish Library does that electric car day, they used to do that event. It's like that's, you know, it's more central on 403.
I just don't know, it's not town property,
It's
so
not.
I don't know what we kind of.
So it has to be on town property.
Yeah.
It couldn't be at a library.
We can't like communicate maybe with.
Well,
like,
maybe
the
we could
basketball
create a
committee.
new site agreement with the library or something, but that was a very
It's not a big
arduous
stretch from the
process.
library to the rec center. I
That's
mean, it's a mile, it's a mile.
What about like partnering with basketball? Because a lot of people walk there anyway. Like, I don't know, I'm just trying to throw out some ideas that you might be able to. I know that, you know, it's not necessarily town property, but if you communicate with them and see if you guys have this grant, would they be open to putting this charger there? You know, just like how the farmer's market kind of works with them on Saturdays.
It's an interesting
That's a thought. We could reach out to
Well, we
Boscombe.
don't have to make a decision tonight.
No, but just food for thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Martha, if the rec center had an EV at some point, are they allowed to charge it on this charger, or is it only for?
They're allowed to charge it, but they could not have a proprietary feeling about it.
Yeah, yeah.
These chargers, in order to get the grant, have to be open to the public at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Right, but it would aid in the fact that, you know, if there were an electric vehicle at rec, that it would be able to be utilized.
Yeah, I would think that would be great.
I mean, in other communities, it's not town property, but I've seen like the food, like a plaza like at Food Town. In other communities, they have them in the commercial
Yeah,
plazas.
there's a dozen of them behind the movie theaters. And
Right.
Yeah, right, there's a bunch there, yeah.
I have to be in touch with our NYSERDA rep and find out how that works.
Yeah, if you want to research it some more,
Yeah.
and then we'll look into, I mean, if anybody has any other ideas, we could certainly entertain them.
Yeah,
Boscoville is a good thought, there's a lot of people there,
yeah.
that's for sure.
For sure.
I know it's like, there's a gate, but I mean, think of the population that's there on any given day, or let alone any given weekend.
And as you point out, there usually, a lot of them are coming from out of town.
Right, they're
and
coming
might
over
wanna
the
take
bridge
advantage.
anyway, so.
Yeah.
There's also the Washburn parking lot at the base of the trailhead that gets also a ton of use. That's state-owned, but it certainly would be another
spot.
location that would be suitable. People to park their car, charge while they hike. And that's
How
where,
long does it take to charge your car?
I think they're all different.
How long does it take?
Yeah,
Well,
just
these
roughly.
are level 2 chargers, so they don't charge quickly. People are usually just sort of topping off their charge on their way to someplace, you know? It would take you hours to fully charge a car with a level 2, 8 hours.
8 hours for a full two.
Does the town have any property at the Garrison train station or the landing, or no, that's all,
private.
that's all empty, yeah?
I don't think we want to add any more cars down there. I don't think that'd be a popular
We're
choice.
gonna reach out to them as well.
Yeah, I have to first find out what the rules are about non-town
Use
property.
this grant, and then if particular times we don't use it?
No,
Okay.
no, and they know the problem that we ran into. They're very sympathetic, and they'll wait for us to work it out.
Oh, good, I don't want to
But
lose.
so there's a couple options that we could look into. And
Yeah.
whether we could partner with either the state or a private
Okay,
property owner to see if it could work.
all right, I'll find out.
Thank you, Martha. Appreciate it.
Next is a resolution adopting the Town of Philipstown Employee Handbook.
So, I'll take full blame for this. We did meet with Melissa Knapp last week to do some updates. There were a few items that I noticed that I didn't think I was comfortable with. There was also some question as to whether which of our employees, were exempt and non-exempt, which basically allows them to collect overtime or not collect overtime. So we did clarify a bunch of that. There is going to be a resolution attached with this that would allow me, or allow the town board and the supervisor to let employees that are exempt get paid overtime. And I can use the one example would be Cecily, who is non-exempt, or is exempt, cannot collect overtime. We do ask her to come in to man the shelter, which is completely outside of her scope of normal work. Not that she's ever asked to be compensated, but we don't know what the conditions will be, so there would be an ability to compensate her. There's also some of the clerks, because of their titles, the federal labor law does not allow them to collect on overtime unless there is a resolution by the town board to authorize that. So I think we deserve, or they deserve, the right to collect if there is an unusual circumstance. It's not going to happen all the time. It's rare that it does happen, but I'd like to have that avenue. So we didn't get this to the changes to the clerk in time. That's my fault. It was in my inbox and I didn't forward it to Tara. So we'll have to postpone this to November. But there is some changes in the updated one that you should look at before next month's meeting, and then we'll go through it next month. So
Can we use a town logo instead of just could they put the local one?
I'm sure we could.
Okay.
Sure, if that'll make you feel better,
Yes.
Judy, I'm sure we could.
They're more official.
Yes.
That one?
Yes.
Tara, can you take care of it?
Yeah, we need
Town logo?
town logo on the front,
Now that you have it,
in color, please.
it's gotta look like that one. But probably a good thing. So once it is adopted, it will go to each employee of the town of Philipstown. They will sign a receipt that they received it. They also will be told whether they are exempt or non-exempt. So it'll be clear cut. So we'll go to the book if there's an issue. So we have a lot of good employees, but I'm thankful that we'll have clear rules. There was a lot of work put into this, Bobby. I know you participated, and Amber, Sue, and Melissa Knapp assisted us with the drafting. And, of course, Maureen, as our safety coordinator, was involved. So thank you to all of you, and hopefully November we can adopt that. Thank you.
Do they need to pass a resolution to table that item, or we can just?
It hadn't been proposed, nobody made a motion, so it doesn't need to be tabled. If everybody's in agreement, and it appears everybody is, it can be put over till next time, you don't need a vote on that.
Thank you.
So we'll do it in November.
Next is a resolution authorizing the return of escrow for Bach Veterinary Hospital, 475 Fishkill Road, Cold Spring, tax map number 27.11134.
So this has been approved by the planning board, and a letter has been received from Cheryl Rocket, the planning board secretary. So I get a motion to return the escrow for Bach Veterinary Hospital, 475 Fishkill Road, Cold Spring, New York.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye. Thank you.
Next is a resolution approving the length of service award program submission from Philipstown Volunteer Ambulance Corps for 2022 and authorizing the supervisor to sign all necessary paperwork associated with such.
So if you look through it, it looks like they have 6 members that meet the minimum of 50 points. My thanks to the volunteers at Philipstown Ambulance that get out of bed and go to help people in need and staff the ambulances for Philipstown. So thank you to the 6 members that did do it, and thank you to all of the members and all of our emergency services for what they do for the town of Philipstown. So could I get a motion approving the length of service award program for the Philipstown Volunteer Ambulance Corps for 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution accepting the resignation of Rabecca Ramirez as acting chair from the Philipstown Trails Committee.
So Rabecca Ramirez has been the chair for, Jason, how long? Since the beginning?
Yeah, she was a co-chair with Laura Bosey. Yeah.
And then she
It
and
was
Laura got on the
some
village
chair.
board.
That's
So Rebecca has now taken a role with Hudson Highland Fjord Trail. So she will be stepping away from the Philipstown Trail Committee. So could I get a motion to accept Rabecca Ramirez as chair of the Philipstown Trail Committee effective September 19th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. Thank you, Rebecca, for the years of service that you put into that.
Next is a resolution appointing Emily May Cheadle as chair of the Philipstown Trails Committee.
So this would be Rebecca's replacement.
That's right.
And thank you. As always, we have people step up for these roles in the town of Philipstown, qualified, ambitious, hardworking people. So thank you to Emily May Cheadle. Is that the pronunciation?
Cheadle. I think Cheadle, yeah.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Emily, whatever it is. But, so can I get a motion to appoint Emily as chair of the Philipstown Trail Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution establishing the standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials, and this is a roll call vote.
So this was produced by, we're currently going through a New York State audit. They found out that we haven't done this since 2018, so we are a little in the rears on this. So, Steve, can Bobby and I vote on this? Probably not, because we are listed on this.
No, you have to recuse yourselves,
Okay.
I'm afraid.
So this is just an update to this program. I spoke to Sue about it today. The last time it was done was in 2018, and it just establishes the work date for elected officials. So should I present the motion, or should somebody else?
Someone else should present. There's an exception, sometimes everybody's putting in their hours for the system. And if that happens, in fact, if it ever occurs that there's an insufficient number of board members to vote on something you have to vote on, you can announce that, state it publicly, and then vote anyway, but you have a majority here to vote. So just have someone else make the motion, someone else second it, and then you two abstain.
Remember, I would like for you to.
Should I read the rest, or okay. The following resolution was presented by,
No, start it
resolved, okay. Resolved that the town of Philipstown hereby establishes the following as standard workdays for the below-listed elected officials and will report the following days' work to the New York State and local employees' retirement system based upon time and attendance records or on the record of activities maintained and submitted by these officials to the clerk of this body as attached hereto. Name, John Van Tassel, 3281. Robert Flaherty, 0212, Camille Linson, 3098, Stephen Toman, 8594, and Stephen Leclerc, 5250. This is a roll call vote.
So Tara will call out the roll.
Doesn't someone have to make the motion first?
Oh, yeah. I thought she was making the motion. You
Oh, I
making
can
that
make the
motion?
motion as well. I so move.
Second.
Councilwoman Farrell?
I vote aye.
Councilman Angel?
Aye.
Councilman Flaherty?
Oh, I
He's
can't vote.
recused.
I know, he's saying
Abstain, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Councilwoman Cotter?
Aye.
And Supervisor Van Tassel?
And I abstain also. So it passes with 3 votes and 2 abstentions. Thank you, Judy.
Next is a resolution appointing Mary Kate Ephraim, is that how you say her name, John? Ephraim, thank you, to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill the vacancy of Leonard Lim, term to expire March 31st, 2026.
So we unfortunately lost Lenny Lim a little over a month ago. Our condolences were offered to his family. He will be hard to replace. He spent a lot of time on the zoning board. Had to be 20 years plus. As long as I've been here, he's been involved, and long before. So our thanks to he and his family. We did interview Mary Kate last night. She is a land use attorney. I think she will be an asset to the Zoning Board of Appeals. She's ready to hit the ground running. She was on the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee and was very effective. She was also appointed to our data committee for the Fjord Trail, and unfortunately, after she started, found out that the firm that she worked for had done a closing for the Fjord Trail at some time. So she felt that she should let us know, and we felt that it was a conflict. So she did step down. She has been replaced by Philip Kotnak, but this will be a great role for Mary Kate to serve on the zoning board. So can I get a motion to accept Mary Kate as a new addition to the Zoning Board of Appeals?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you, Mary Kate. Welcome.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Next is a resolution introducing a local law to permit the town board to override the 2% tax cap for the 2024 town budget, and this again is a roll call vote.
So, our preliminary budget was due on Monday, which we did put together. I spent a lot of time with the comptroller as well as the town accountant, putting together a preliminary budget for the 2024 season. We saw in 2023 a large decrease in revenue from both mortgage rebate tax as well as rec funds, which is hard to understand because the rec programs are full. We're going to have to dig into this, why, the funds, people aren't paying, I'm not sure, but they are, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we will certainly have a full budget workshop, but the numbers are low, and that revenue really affects our budget because it's a large nut for us to absorb. That and the expenses of Garrison Landing Water District, as well as the water we bought for Continental Village Water District when we were not on the New York City water supply and we were on the town of Cortland water supply. It was a costly expense for us, but we tried to plan for it and it didn't work. And as Richard, my predecessor, had stated in 2010, when the 2% cap began, that it was a race to the bottom. So we've hit bottom. We've got to the point where we need to exceed the budget, the cap, the 2% cap. Our proposed budget is a 9.1% tax increase. I know that's hard to swallow. It is the preliminary budget. We did have an hour-long workshop last night. Was 4 board members here last night. We went over, what we can control, some salary increases. There were some discussions on some of the raises that are proposed. The entire original proposed package of raises for 2024 would increase the budget $73,000. If we were to eliminate raises completely, go back to our 2023 salaries, the tax increase would still be just under 8%. So it's a minuscule amount of difference. We probably will whittle this down a little bit, maybe adjust some of the revenues. When I spoke with the accountant, I feel that it's a time, as the budget office, I feel it's a time to reset the projections. So we set a projection for 2023 based on our 2022 incomes. We set a reasonable, and this is all available, we set reasonable projections for these funds, and we didn't come close to meeting them. The rec fund was lower, and we're not done with 2023 rec funds, but the bulk of those programs, basically the camp is the biggest one, is over and accounted for. So that's low. The mortgage rebate tax is like 30% of what we projected. So either the home sales are dropping, or the other option is people are paying cash and we're not seeing that mortgage rebate tax. So these are big revenue lines for the town of Philipstown. So we will meet with each department. We'll try to figure out where we can save to try to get that number down from 9.1%. But I really fear that it's a reset year for the town. We've held salary increases to 2%. A couple of years there was no increase. But we have good employees. We have some employees that I don't want to say that are irreplaceable, but they would be really hard to replace. And it seems to be the communities around us are losing these same people. So the demand for these special skill sets are high. So they have the ability to go elsewhere. I won't, and I'm sure the board will not have a gun held to our head by any employee, but without the increases, I feel that we will lose some key employees, and I'd hate to see them go. We have a good staff. We get done what needs to be done. There is the one increase that is large is the code enforcement officer, Greg Wunner. He has, however, taken over the inspections for the two villages. The two villages have compensated us for that, and it more than covers the increase for the code enforcement officer. However, that is shown in our, as an increase in our budget. But the revenue did come up also because of what we're charging the two villages. There was another one another increase that I just lost from my head. Oh, there was an increase of North Highlands Fire District. It was a 7% increase in their tax rate as well. We have no control over the North Highlands Fire District. I won't speak on their behalf. I don't know what it reflects. They have a public hearing for their budget, and I would suggest if you have questions to go to their public hearing as well. But their increase is reflected in our increase as well. So, and we have no control over it. And it's, it's a big number again. So that really affects our budget. So there is, in my eyes, there is no way we cannot exceed the 2% cap. We would either have to cut employees, we would have to cut services, and some big services in order to get, the 2% cap allowed us to increase from 2023 to 2024. I believe the cap limit was about $140,000, which we couldn't do. So in other years, we have used capital reserve funds to try to offset the difference, to make it up. The capital reserve funds have been expended on Garrison Landing and Continental Village Landing. So this is where we stand. This is why we proposed this. We did have a lengthy meeting about it last night. So I believe I will read the proposal. So it says, where is the town, I'm sorry, before I read, does anybody else have to add it? Would anybody else like
I
that?
just want to add that I'm concerned about any potential increases, and I think, I want to really drill down and figure out maybe if there are other savings that we could achieve. But I also think the Garrison Water Landing District has been draining a lot of funds out of our budget for the past few years. And it's vital, of course, that we provide water, but I think we need to get a more definitive timeline from the engineers and consultants and figure out if we can nail down when this is going to be fixed, because
There's nobody more upset about this whole process. I mean, it started in 2018. We have been seeking results or answers since 2018. It seemed like an easy fix. I've pressed, Bobby's pressed, Richard pressed, OSI, the golf course. We finally do have a well that's yielding 30 gallons a minute. So we have the solution. Now it's connecting the well to the water house. I've been on the phone several times. Bobby has been with Ron Gaynor. This is Ron Gaynor's specialty, water lines. This is what he did for, his entire career. John, it takes time. It's the answer. And, I did confirm that with the hydrogeologist. I was like, when the well went in, it was in March or April. I was like, in 2 months, we'll be hooked up. Here we are in September. We're still buying water. I'm not happy with that. I don't know another answer. Ron said the plan went to the county and state DOT for approval. I will touch base with Ron again tomorrow to try to press that issue, but it's not from lack of trying that we have, it's taken this long, so the pressure has been there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really kind of out of our hands at this particular time. Again, I never thought it would take this long either. And I always thought that, there's a pipe over there already. I thought we could reuse that, which would eliminate a lot of digging and trenching, but according to Ron, it can't be used. So that's, unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? I mean, again, myself and John are, on them all the time to get this done. I did make a recommendation that at least start getting an electric over there. So he took my advice on that, and now we're moving forward to getting the electric there before the rest of but when we get the electric there, at least they could start putting the pump in and stuff like that. But it's, unfortunately, it's becoming winter here soon, and it'd be nice to try to get something done before winter for sure.
Well, that would certainly be wonderful, but.
I appreciate all the hard work that you're putting in. I just feel,
Yeah, it's frustrating.
it's very frustrating because we have other needs to fund.
We had a
and-
leak on Thursday or Friday before Memorial Day weekend. Bobby was unavailable. I got a phone call. I went down. I had a subcontractor. Our company that does our leak repair was unavailable till Tuesday. This was on Thursday. I was like, we're not letting that leak till Tuesday. So we got a local contractor to dig it. He came down. We had a local plumber come down and fix. The water was shooting out of the ground. It wasn't even on a line that the town of Philipstown is responsible for, but it's still water that we're purchasing that was coming out of the ground. So it had to be fixed. And that's what's going on. But hopefully once this well is connected, we'll have a solution to buying water.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have a water source, that's no question about. My only concern is the infrastructure down there is very old, right? We always come from leaks, and it's not easy to determine where the leaks are. It takes sometimes,
new line
like
is
that
through,
one, right, but
that
at least,
one, right.
and I think that probably had a lot to do with it. You get probably more pressure now than they had before. So, unfortunately, there's no real easy solution. But the biggest thing is to get the water hooked up. After that, if there's leaks, we gotta deal with them. Hopefully there won't be any, but I'm sure there will be. But yeah, it's definitely, it's not easy.
I just want to quickly say, I do appreciate the conversation that we all had regarding the budget and going through it. I think the conversation that we had, the four of us last night, we are doing the best we can to do what's best for our community, our constituents, and working hard together and asking the tough questions on what we can do. So I want to just thank you guys. I had a lot of questions, and I appreciate you guys taking the time and going through. And, we encourage the community to come to these meetings and ask these questions as well, because we are only as good as what you guys allow us to be. So I just want to say thank you.
If you look through the budget and find something that's discretionary spending, I'm more than willing to say, hey, that can't happen. What's that? Yeah.
We do have a dog catcher.
We do. And she's great.
And she's utilized, let me
She's
tell you.
wonderful.
Yeah, she does her
But no,
job.
in all seriousness, I just want to say thank you,
Thank you.
especially for you guys
Appreciate
to, walking through and the importance of it all. So.
I just wanted to add before we get into the resolution, I personally can't help thinking about the property tax system, which is what we use to fund the budget, without thinking about the assessment system that it's built on. I know there may be larger conversations about this, but, our attention recently, or my attention, was brought to the fact that we're on some lists right now that usually Philipstown, we're all proud of Philipstown to be on the list leading Putnam County and leading a lot of things. And we're on some lists right now that should make us or make me question our assessment system. And so just as an example, and I bring this up not to say because when we are increasing taxes, looking at revaluation would not do anything to raise additional revenue. So just for the folks out there, it's not about the conversation about raising revenue, but when you're talking about increasing taxes, you're talking about who's going to bear the brunt of that increase, which I think leads us to this conversation. And a recent report from the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, Assessment Equity in New York, results from the 2022 Market Value Survey, listed the town of Philipstown as one municipality amongst a third of municipalities in New York State that was listed as a regressive assessment municipality, meaning that lower value homes are overassessed and higher value homes are underassessed. At the same time, if the town of Kent does apply funding to their revaluation, we will be the only community in Putnam County that doesn't have current assessment rolls, which can over time lead to a regressive system where there are higher value homes that aren't paying the same share of taxes as lower value homes. So it's an important issue. It's a big issue. It's not a popular issue. It's a complicated issue. And I bring that up only because my proposal would be, if we're going to vote on a resolution to increase, go over the tax cap, I do think there should be something in there in the resolution that says that, and I know Supervisor Van Tassel's made the point that revals are expensive and we're in the middle of a budget crunch, but I do think there should be language that says that the town board will explore funding for a reval, and if that funding is available, that we would consider revaluation in 2024. I do think that if we're going to increase that and we're going to do it in a system that could be regressive, where lower value homes pay a larger share, that we should do that we should investigate that.
I appreciate your opinion, Jason, and it's valid. There is some validity to it. And I'm sure you've all seen Richard's letter to the editor, which he has since written to me and told me he apologized for writing it. He should have never wrote it. Our system is not perfect. It's far from perfect. It is what we can afford. The last time there was a reval done, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that was in 1996. There was an exploratory attempt in 2010, I believe, or 2012, and I believe the estimate at that point was $500,000. There's also additional work that would be placed on our assessment department, and Brian is currently a part-time assessor. He has flat out said to me that he cannot handle that work as a part-time. So there would be the additional expense of a full-time assessor. So in this budget, and first of all, I think this reval has nothing to do with our current budget, nothing whatsoever. And I am not in favor to including any verbiage that would mandate us to seek funds or to attempt to do a reval. Hold on one second. If there is anybody who feels that they're overassessed currently, they have an avenue to contest their value. They can come before the Board of Assessment Review and they can get a proper assessment of their home. And like I said, it's not perfect. The system is what it is. It's what we can afford currently. So if we were to attempt this, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I did speak with Bill Mazuka yesterday about the last time it happened. He said a third of the homes went down, a third stayed the same, and a third went up. The third that did go up, many of those people contested their reassessment and they were brought back into where they were originally. So he said it sounded like a great idea. It was also a county-wide reassessment. So the rates were lower. It was $60 per property. It basically requires somebody to go to every parcel, every piece of property in the town of Philipstown with their card and go floor by floor in the house. It's a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of unhappy people. I don't care about, as you well know, I don't care about the political side of it. My thought is the financial side of it, and what we can do with that amount of money towards infrastructure, towards, human resources, safety issues, life safety issues. I love that the reporter quotes the town of Kent. Of all the people, the town of Kent, I was in a meeting about BLS, ALS ambulance service with the County Bureau of Emergency Services and the supervisors of the county. The town of Kent, they have 2 ambulances. One is Lake Carmel, one is Kent Volunteer. One of them covers 30% of their calls, the other one covers 18% of their calls. So if I was the supervisor there and I'm not doing her job, I would take that money that she was going to do for a reassessment and apply it to our ambulance service the way we do. We fund our ambulances. You call an ambulance here, you're going to get it. The people of Kent are relying on the town of Philipstown and the surrounding communities to provide their BLS service. To me, that's a much better use of money than to do a reval. If you can find, if there's money available, I don't think anybody on this board would have any opposition to us looking into finding the funding or applying the funding. If we can afford to do it, obviously I think it would be a service to the town of Philipstown. Until then, I would love to work with Brian and try to figure out some ways that we can get some of the identified properties from the report, identify them and see if we can bring them into line. I don't know the legality of that. I'm not an assessor, but for us to spend that kind of money, and again, it has nothing to do with our current budget, and I would be totally in opposition to rolling it into anything to do with this. A reval, as you said, it does not bring more equity to it. It does not bring more revenue. It doesn't change the nut or the levy that the town has to come up with to run the town of Philipstown. So I for one would not support any verbiage to go into this resolution. So.
But there is another regressive tax, the sales tax, which $80 million is Putnam's revenue. It was just reported, which is historic amount of revenue going to Putnam, some of it coming from Philipstown. $80 million. So I think, we're gonna, here in Philipstown, proposing to increase taxes when there's a surplus in Putnam County due to the sales tax, which all of the residents of Philipstown pay. It's almost 10 cents on every dollar that a resident of Philipstown spends is going over to Putnam County.
And I'm not going to defend Putnam County, and I will thank Jason for the work he did to get that money. We did get one round of it, and it seems like it's going by the wayside. I know there's a budget hearing tonight, yes, and there's an.
So that it's on the record for the year.
Yes. I would be thrilled if you guys could bring some of that money, and Jason, you did it once, and we were successful. It seems like it is going away. We did meet with the incoming county executive, and he said in place of that, he would rather provide service. Maybe that service is to assist us with a reval for the town of Philipstown, or since we're providing BLS service to the western side of Putnam, it would be a nice repay for them to assist us, so.
I would just say one more thing, which is to Judy's point, if we, and that sales tax is regressive to Philipstown, and that is a problem, and if we're gonna hold the county to account for doing that, like we did, then we should also look at ourselves, on this issue. And so I would say that.
Wait, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
What that we don't collect doesn't go back to our taxpayers.
I'm saying that we should look at, if there are reports that are coming out that are saying that our assessment, I followed your advice, and I really, Brian Kennedy, the assessor's been doing a long time. It's a thankless job. And, in that conversation, as I've shared with all of you, he said, he's also the assessor in the town of Piermont. He's also assessor in another village. Full-time. Both of those communities are at current assessment. Right. And he said, I know what would happen. What would happen if we did a reval is that lower value homes, their share would go down and higher value homes would go up. Okay, so
those lower share homes can contest if they like.
We can always contest. My point only being that I believe that we need to cover our services in the budget. And so and we're gonna need to increase it. And and I can see that these are separate issues. And if there's no support at all amongst my colleagues, who I respect all of you for including it in this resolution, I would ask to consider that we consider a separate resolution from this that just says, we are concerned about this issue. I mean, you all, I know, have been concerned about it because you held, before I was on the board, conversations in Continental Village with it and decided to do a revaluation with the assessor. So I would just propose to Supervisor Van Tassel, other board members, that we consider a resolution then that says we're concerned about revaluation, that we will, and if that's me looking into it, explore other funding.
Oh, you got the job.
You already told me that will be my job, and no one wants to be, no one wants that job, really, but I do not have very much time on my hands, Megan. I've got 2 young kids. I would love to see them more. I do not have very much time on my hands, but as we all know, it's an important fundamental issue to our community.
Yeah.
So, but I would say that we consider then a separate resolution that says we're concerned about it, because I think most of us are, even though, John, you've said to me before you're concerned about it, but it's a lot of money. Yeah. So to put that into, so that's what I would propose.
Well, I'll make a suggestion. If you'd like to go down that road, I suggest that we explore, if you'd like to explore some contractors that would provide the service to the town of Philipstown, just to get some ideas on what the cost would be before we put it. Is that fair? Then we'll put it into a resolution form to review it and
Yeah,
go
separate
from
from
there.
this, though.
Separate from this. I can't attach it with this. That's my gut, because
Okay.
it's really 2 separate items, and I don't want it to be dictated by a reporter, so that's where I would, hold my ground.
Okay, all right.
Does that sound fair?
It does, yeah. Thank you.
So, does anybody else have anything to add?
I have 4 children that I'd like to spend more time with too, so.
We're not doing kid counts here. Okay, resolution introducing a local law to permit the town board to override the 2% tax cap for the 2024 town budget. Whereas the town board of the town of Philipstown has a local law before it entitled "A Local Law to Override the Tax Levy Limit Established in General Municipal Law 3C," and whereas the local law proposes to override the limit on amount of real property taxes that may be levied by the town and allow the town to adopt a budget for the 2024 fiscal year that requires a real property tax levy in excess of the tax levy limit as defined by General Municipal Law 3C. Now, therefore, be it resolved as the movement of this resolution does hereby introduce the proposed local law, that a public hearing on proposed local law be set for October 18th, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. and that due notice of the same shall be given by publication and posting. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Councilwoman Farrell.
I vote no.
Councilman Angel.
Aye.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Connor.
Aye.
And I vote aye. It passes 4-1. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is to schedule any workshops or meetings. So we have the public hearing on the local law that you just introduced. That'll be on October 18th at 7 p.m. And then immediately following that public hearing will be a budget workshop with the fire and the ambulance departments. And then we have another budget workshop scheduled for October 25th at 7:30, and that's with the in-house departments. Then we have our regular monthly meeting on November 2nd. We have a budget public hearing on November 8th, and then the final budget adoption on November 15th.
So, folks, we got a busy month. We got a busy 2 months. We need everybody here. We need people here, and we need people ready to go. So I'm just,
I have a question. Will there be, the dates be in the papers, the local papers?
Yes, it'll all be noticed. Yeah, and on the website and on our bulletin board downstairs.
all right, so everybody's good with these dates and times? We should get like a babysitter to come here and everybody bring their kid.
I brought my children here, they sit in the back.
Mine's old enough to babysit,
There you
so
go.
I mean,
Could be a little, hey, Kelly could babysit.
I just bring them, and they sit in the back.
Kelly would do it.
I was gonna say,
Put them in the conference room downstairs.
Be nothing left. Have you ever seen those Cotter kids?
yes, they sit back there and
They
stay
are
quiet.
well-behaved children, I will give you that. They sit like little angels in church, at attention.
Thank you very much, John.
Next up is the Code Enforcement Monthly Report, and this is for September. Total fees collected were 51,000, I believe that's $472.98. There were 42 permits issued, 3 additions, alterations, or repairs to residential buildings. There were 39 all other permits. 40 certificates of occupancy were issued. There were 4 inspections of public assembly and 2 inspections of commercial occupancies. And the building inspector would just like to remind everyone that when closing your pool for winter, take the time to be sure your safety features and fences are all in working order.
We don't need any tragedy. Anything else from the town board?
I just like to just recognize that Cheryl Graham's mother passed away the other day, last week. I just want to send her and her family our condolences.
Yes, thank you. What a wonderful, wonderful woman.
Cheryl Rocket, Graham was her maiden name, Rocket. She works in the building department.
She's
yeah.
lovely.
Greta Graham.
But her mom.
She worked for Putnam County,
Aging, right?
the Office for the Aging for years. She was a cook and a wonderful woman, absolutely wonderful. Our condolences.
It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so if you haven't had a screening, Putnam County Department of Health does have free screenings available, but it is, there are opportunities throughout the region to get your mammograms and other screenings.
Thank you. The boys will be wearing their pink socks this weekend.
They sure will, they should be.
Anything else?
Could I just announce, Central Hudson, this is just a report from the New York State Public Service Commission. Central Hudson has filed with the Public Service Commission for a delivery rate increase. We all know that they've had some problems recently. That amounts to 31.9% increase in their base delivery revenues. So the Public Service Commission is holding public hearings.
That's not on the product. That's on getting the product to you.
That's right, yeah.
So regardless if you're in the CCA,
Yeah, regardless,
you're
not,
still gonna pay for it.
not tied to the CCA, but
That's
just.
not buying the electric, that's buying the
That's just
cables.
the-
for the
right,
electric.
that's-
Exactly right, exactly right. But it just will increase their delivery fees significantly on top of the billing, that they've just gone through. So I don't know if it's the best time for them to increase it by over 30%. So anyway, there's information on the Public Service Commission website of some public hearings where people can make comments on October 17th and 18th.
Excuse me, thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Anything else? Audience?
Not you, Nope, nope, nope.
Step up, man.
All right.
It's all in good fun.
We'll get the time to talk about the comprehensive plan again, but we're not going to do it. I can see how busy you are. By the way, my name is Nat Prentice, and I live in Garrison, and I need to introduce
You
myself.
need no introduction.
2 questions. Sorry about my naivete on this, but could the Garrison Water District be, if you will, spun out to the residents of the Garrison the way the fire district, the way the fire department was?
This is something we certainly have looked into, because it is a burden. It's a burden to the town. It's not truly a district like a fire district or the Continental Village Water District, the way it was established in 1998, 99. It doesn't fit the criteria the way a fire district would. We certainly will be looking into avenues to release our liability. It's impossible at this point, or is it fair to the residents of Garrison Landing, in my eyes, to just say, you're on your own? The problem, there's 8 or 9 residences there that, deserve water, and they signed into something in 1999. That's hard to get us out of.
They signed it, so they signed something.
The town.
You will get what you won't have to pay for your water?
No, they are paying. They pay the state
put
maximum
A
that
flat
they
fee
can
of
pay
$20,000 is what we can collect from everybody.
for the entire district.
That's state statute, that's state law.
I think some ideas that we've talked about, if we get this water adjusted and fixed out, we could possibly disable or disband the water district and then put meters on everyone's house, and they could be charged for water just like the residents of everybody in the town of Cold Spring does. I mean, that's something we've been talking about. It's something I think we're gonna have to definitely take a hard look at that.
When it was established, there were meters on houses, and I was like, why weren't these meters used? Apparently, when they went from a ground surface supply to a pressurized well system, every meter down there failed. There was no money at that point to install new meters, so the meters were disconnected.
All
And
the meters are still there.
They're there,
don't
but they're
work.
not functioning.
I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago, Richard asked me to look into getting new meters, and I did. I got all the information, I gave him all the budgetary numbers. He said we just couldn't do it at the time. So, but that's something that's gonna be in the works.
Yeah,
Good.
constant.
And just a question about the vote, another question, the question about the override. Does that something that then, if you go for it, that the residents have to vote? Is that a votable issue, a votable matter?
Local laws adopted, no, sir, the local laws adopted by the town board, end of story. No referendum, no further consideration of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Russell, come step up.
Good evening. My name is Russ Cusick. I'm a Cold Spring resident, and there's probably not much that I can say or needs to be said about the paved versus unpaved roads condition. This is a discussion that's been going on for decades here in Philipstown, as we all know. But I couldn't help but thinking about when you guys were discussing the Philipstown Highway Department, I couldn't help but thinking about a recent conversation that I had with Maureen in the highway, at the Highway Department on Fishkill Road. And she was talking about funding, FEMA funding, for dirt roads that have washed out as a result of recent flooding. So, and I asked her specifically, what is the funding going towards? And she said it's largely going towards replacing, repairing, adding new culverts to unpaved roads. And that brought to mind a January of 2013 town board meeting. And it's just a couple of paragraphs, so I want to read this. It was reported by Liz Armstrong in the Highlands Current. Okay, so the byline is to pave or not to pave. Town board perspectives. Richard Shea returned to the subject of paved versus unpaved at the end of a January 9th town board workshop, citing increasingly erratic weather and climate change, federal government policies, the toll of pollution, and costs of repairs of influences in the decision on paving. For one thing, he said, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, which has been assisting residents and local governments in the state or in the wake of hurricanes Irene and Sandy, will not repeatedly fund repairs to unpaved roads. They'll do it one time, he said, and then expect local governments to take steps to prevent ongoing damage, he said. And they're coming to a point where they don't even want to do it on a first-time basis. I don't see it if the storms keep up with the intensity and volume we're having, how we're going to keep up the repairs. Because FEMA is not going to keep coming back, Shea said. It took 3 years merely to obtain, nearly, I don't know, I can't read. I'm getting old, man, I need glasses. FEMA is not going to keep coming back, Shea said. It took 3 years merely to obtain FEMA funds for repairs on the southern end of Old Albany Post Road. I'm almost finished. Moreover, the environmental thing is pretty compelling also. When you look at the brooks, there's our material filling up stream beds, and that's an untenable position Now, let's all remember, this was over a decade
2013.
ago. Okay, and we're talking about
I was here.
eradicating a 2% cap for our taxes and bringing up from 2% to 9%. That's a conversation tonight?
Yes, sir.
Wow, okay.
I don't see the
And
connection.
the other thing I want to say is that the town board has, since I've lived in Philipstown, 1998, been saying that unpaved roads are disproportionately more expensive, talking about taxes.
You should have been here last month,
Okay.
because we did. Hold on,
Disproportionately
hold on.
more,
I think-
let me just finish. Disproportionately more damaging to our local resources,
We had
natural
this conversation
resources.
last month.
Great, I'm just reiterating for,
I'm happy you're
I don't-
repeating yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And disproportionately, and this is a biggie for me, because we live in a town, we may be increasing our taxes from 9% to maybe 15% if we didn't have so many first responders who are volunteers in the town of Philipstown. So it is so disrespectful to not make 100% sure that our first responders have a stable surface during emergencies, and we just have more and more emergencies as climate change, global warming take their toll on our planet. Okay, so that's basically it.
So,
That's basically it from
One-
that article.
One comment about the 2013, the southern end of Old Albany Post Road is now paved.
Great, I know.
So
There have been improvements. South Mountain Pass, there have been a few improvements.
You're looking
But there's
at-
still 40% unpaved roads in Philipstown.
I agree.
And it doesn't make
Okay,
sense for
my
for the
turn.
town board. Go ahead.
My turn now. Can you give me it?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
You're looking at 2 drivers for the emergency services, right? No,
And I
it's my
appreciate-
turn,
Great.
my turn to talk, my turn.
I appreciate you guys.
Last month, we put in, I made a public statement to everybody.
Okay.
We are going to address the problem areas that are dirt. As you know, we can't afford to pave 33 miles of dirt road. It is impossible for us to. We are appropriating money this year. There will be funds going into paving. We will have a highway budget workshop here. What is the date? You're certainly welcome to attend that. You can look and, you can look and see exactly where we're planning on paving. If it were up to me, we'd pave every problem section of the town.
Right.
Oh,
So
Okay,
my-
wait.
Go ahead.
I'll let you know when I'm done.
Absolutely.
You'll be the
Let me know
first
when
one
you're
I
finished.
tell. So we sat here last month. I did announce that we will identify, we have roads. There was probably $2 million worth of paving that Adam would like to do. Obviously, we can't afford to do $2 million. You see the fiscal situation we're in. And it is,
If they would started 10 years ago,
whenever
a
you're done,
decade ago.
whenever you're done,
Yeah,
I'll
go ahead.
start again. But are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So we will go after what we feel or what Adam feels are the most problem sections. Each year, we will continue to nip away at it. We can't afford to pave 33 miles of road.
So
Okay, I'm
to
done.
Richard's assertion, January 9th of 2013, that FEMA would provide federal funding, federal relief, one time. Was that not correct, or has that changed since
I'm not aware, and I'm
2013?
certainly not going to bring that to FEMA's attention, because
I
we'd like,
will.
well, that's great. So we will lose $194,000 that, we've
Right.
invested.
If
So
that
would be
keeps
a
us,
sure benefit
if
to the
that
community also.
keeps us from continuing to fill up our
No, it would just
tributaries
eliminate us from the ability to pave.
with recycled asphalt, okay? If it keeps us from having to continue to have dusty roads in which water trucks have to spray chemicals on the dirt roads to keep them from having dust fill the air for people to breathe, asthmatic children to have to breathe. It's a huge issue, and it should have been dealt with a decade ago when Richard Shea was making the statement that FEMA would only pay once. I'm done. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yes, Richard, how are you?
Richard Butensky, East Mountain Road South. I'd like to say that I understand that dirt roads are a pain in the neck for the town and for the people that maintain them. I get it. But there are some of us that love our dirt roads and have worked really hard to help the fact that they're, have lobbied for them to keep existing. Some people don't like that. I realize that. And it's gotten contentious, and I think my neighbors that disagree with me, I still love my neighbors.
Nothing
Just because,
personal.
no, it's nothing. Yeah. But as far as our road goes, so our road goes from Route 9 to East Fishkill. And we're very concerned. It's not just aesthetics. We're very concerned about that becoming a shortcut for, I know people over there that would take that road if they could. It's the shortest way to go, but it's the shortest way distance-wise, but not time-wise, because it's a pain in the neck to drive on a dirt road, which we like. It's nice for walking on. It's nice for, the traffic, the cars go slower, and there are fewer of them. So, and as far as the expense, yes, they're more expensive to maintain, but they're free. We've already paid for, as far as building them. We don't have to build them. We have to. Well, we
just rebuilt.
I call that maintenance. But,
just rebuilt.
but we have to, it's more expensive to maintain them, but to put on, as you are well aware, to put new asphalt roads on there is an initial expense of millions of dollars. So I don't think it's a money-saving thing. I don't think you save money by having these roads, but I don't think but the point is that there's a real advantage in our road for having this there. It does keep people from traveling on those roads. It also, it's just something that most of the people that live on that road want it to stay dirt.
I think that's inaccurate. But we'll see. There has been a tremendous influx of letters and emails in support of the end of the dirt roads. And these are people that live on the dirt roads.
Well, I think you'll see some more letters too.
I can't wait, actually. I'm excited.
People have gotten together and had meetings about this thing. And as far as the environmental impact of it as well, it's dirt going into streams made of dirt, as opposed to asphalt, which leaches, which is first of all a pretty dirty thing to manufacture to begin with, and then it does leach petroleum distillates into the stream.
We have a few case studies. There's no more proof to me. Growing up, 5 generations, East Mountain, the pavement stopped at, it stopped at the greenhouses as you went down the hill. That's where it used to stop. South and north were completely unpaved, and just like in these storms, we would have lost North, we would have lost Esselborn. They were paved. Before I was on the board, they were paved. They've been addressed. They haven't been repaved. Actually, North was repaved recently, capped, but the base, and then it was extended from north to south.
South was repaved, some of it.
Covered, right. But the new, as far as additional pavement, it's been repaved. The base pavement has been there for years, but the connection was made between north and south to complete that loop, I believe, in 2020. So I don't know if you're on a paved section. I don't know if you've seen an increase in traffic since then.
Oh, no, I moved there just after
the pavement.
that stretch was
I
paved.
wasn't aware of that.
So I can't say.
So I'm not sure if there's been an increase in traffic in that.
The only thing I can tell you about increased traffic is Esselborn, because I was there for that.
Right.
And certainly, I use Esselborn a whole lot more now that it's
It's short
paved
for you to get up
than I used to.
But you live there, you should use that.
Right, and,
Where else are you gonna go? Right.
well, what I did before is I went down East Mountain South.
Right.
Because it was a better road. Sometimes they took Esselborn, but not if road conditions weren't ideal.
Esselborn's quite steep.
Yeah, so now I always use it if I'm heading north. But it's a big concern of ours, the speed and the amount of traffic that will increase on that road. And, you know, we feel like there can be, we know that they work really hard to maintain those roads, and we're grateful that they put the amount of effort that they do put in it. But we would think that if some effort was put into engineering, we know that there are spots that are problem spots, and we know how they could be engineered differently to make them work a little bit better. There may be a couple of spots where you might have to put something other than dirt.
And I said this last month, between Roger, Carl, and Adam, there's over 100 years of road maintenance of dirt roads and grading. So I think that would cover pretty much expertise. We also have the town engineer who has designed thousands of culverts in the town, redesigned. We've had every different mixture of sand and gravel. There's been arguments that we don't do what Vermont does, we don't do what New Hampshire does. We have tried every different thing. The weather is continually getting worse. The storms are more frequent. You see places that get flooded that have never seen flooding before. We're all aware of that, and you're aware of it also. There are some areas that we will not pave, but there are steeper sections that if there's not a hard surface on these, they're not going to stay. I don't care what the engineering. You have stone walls on both sides, a crowned wall, and it's just a stream. And Russ, you have video of it. What happens when the water, what's that?
I said a lot of video.
I know you do. Thank you. So to me, we've had individuals hire engineers to do studies, and the studies come back, it needs to be a hard surface. So I don't know what else we can do for.
You mentioned that as part of the highway budget, there will be specific proposals for roads to be paved, and there'll be a public hearing for that, right?
There will be. Yep. That's all in our highway.
For people that are concerned either way, that seems
Which
like
I'm
a place
sure
to.
we'll have a house full of people right now. Yes, Russell.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Richard's point about.
Do you want to come up because they
Yeah.
can't hear? And then we're gonna end this till the highway.
I'll be very brief.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So yeah, in regards to, that's an argument that a lot of people who are pro gravel, and when they say dirt, they're not dirt roads, they're gravel and recycled asphalt. So be clear about that. And if you have a genuine concern about asphalt, it's actually crumbled asphalt that is being, that is eroding into streams.
There has been some areas that were done with some reclaimed material, the bulk of it is not, so.
Well, there's a lot on East Mountain Road South, so I'll just speak specifically to that, like literally this deep in the forest beds of eroded gravel and recycled asphalt. And I have lots of videos of this, of course. So my point about people making the argument, people are going to drive faster. Well, number one, I don't know why I should pay a premium to keep anybody else from having, people driving fast on their roads. In the 21st century, with global warming and all of this flooding, that makes zero sense. I'm not going to pay a premium so anybody has slower traffic than I have on my road. Number two, if somebody wants to get to the Taconic, or if they want to move east in an eastward direction, they can take 84, that's the route they're going to go. They're going to take 84 or 301. They're not taking East Mountain Road north and south. Maybe if they live in East Fishkill, they want to go to Fishkill Farm. It's kind of a one-off. It's not going to be the Indianapolis 500 because that road is paved. The same way with Jaycox. People aren't going to take 9 to 30. They're not going to take Jaycox to go from 9 to 301. They're going to take Fishkill Road. This is common sense, okay? On East Mountain Road South, as I speak, there is a plastic culvert. This is about a mile and a half west of the Dutchess County East Fishkill border. A plastic culvert, looks like it's about an 8-inch culvert, maybe 9 inches. It's collapsed, it's got a big hole in it. Took video of that. Okay, this is a gravel road. It's not a solid surface. You have school buses going over. this road. Okay, you have Amazon delivery trucks, Amazon Prime and FedEx.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
UPS, that's what I'm just saying, but that's a fact. As I speak.
It's a road.
You have a plastic culvert running underneath a gravel road in Philipstown, New York.
There's many of them, actually. There's 3-footers, there's 4-footers,
Yeah, that's a
there's,
little scary.
well,
When we have had a lot of road collapses.
they're
that's
all
scary.
engineered, thank you.
That's scary. But you guys do a great job. And I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vacancies.
Anything else from the audience other than dirt road topic?
Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Russ, you too. Nope, going once, going twice, okay. Vacancies, we do have one Recreation Commission vacancy.
They have interviewed candidates.
Yeah, and I sent them another one today. I had a wonderful idea, so I sent them another one today. So hopefully they'll fill that.
Suggestion myself, so.
Good for you. Approval of vouchers, general.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. Highway.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. Continental Village Park District.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. Continental Village Water District.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you all. That was a